Welcome back to Northern Perspective, everyone. I'm Cypher.
And I'm Fox. Before we continue, if you have not seen part 1 of this series, please pause here and watch the video first.
The views and opinions expressed in this video are those of Northern Perspective and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Botler AI. The following evidence that you will see in this video was released exclusively to Northern Perspective as part of the Botler Declassified series. We ask you to follow Botler on Twitter for the latest updates. Please see the description of this video for more information.
We continue our look inside what happened with Botler AI and the Government of Canada and slowly start to unravel the web of crime, blackmail, scandals, and accusations within the Canada Border Services Agency, or CBSA.
Ritika Dutt and Amir Morv had just notified the CBSA of a wide variety of concerns about the contractual relationship between the Government of Canada and Botler AI. Issues with payment, potential identity theft, potential contract fraud, potential resume fraud, and more. They expressed a desire to terminate their relationship with GC Strategies and Cortex/Dalian in order to sign a new contract directly with the CBSA. This is what they did in their first business venture with the Government of Canada when they worked with the Department of Justice, and the project went smoothly. So this was not an unreasonable request.
Antonio Utano replied that he wanted to set up a meeting with Botler and apologized for the frustration.
CBSA had confirmed that they released payment to Dalian, so they were satisfied with the work provided thus far.
However, in committee on November 2nd, 2023, Christian Firth told a different story.
The Botler pilot was delivery-based, so Botler would only get paid when they delivered. They delivered the first 2 deliverables and then were paid everything they were owed. At no time did GC Strategies ever receive money for those deliverables that we did not immediately pass on to Botler. Botler stopped delivering what was required of them and CBSA terminated the contract. I was asked to gather all new work that was done from Botler prior to termination and submit to CBSA for review and payment. Nearly 2 months passed, and at that point, Botler submitted the remaining 4 deliverables along with an invoice. The deliverables were then submitted to CBSA and they were not approved. The documents were unreadable, and once a version came through they could evaluate, the CBSA determined the work to be substandard and they were refused to pay.
Now contrast that with the testimony of Antonio Utano on November the 7th.
In December of 2021, CBSA's Human Resources Branch, the client for the work, requested the cancellation of the Botler AI task authorization, citing capacity and staffing issues. The TA was cancelled, and I had no further contact with Botler AI.
This statement by Utano is then contradicted by his friend and colleague Cameron McDonald, sitting right next to him an hour into testimony.
I don't think Botler was treated unfairly. I'll make one final point because you gave me the time and I really appreciate it. I've been trying to make this a couple of times. When the Crown has a contract with anybody, there's a task authorization. I've provided it in my package and I think it's really important for members to understand this. What Botler did, the contract was for a feasibility study in 6 parts. So in other words, we're paying for somebody to refurbish the kitchen. They went out back and built a swimming pool and a jungle gym and a garage and wanted to charge the federal government hundreds of thousands of dollars for doing it. The Crown wouldn't pay for that.
You now have 3 different stories from 3 different people in 2 different organizations about why the contract was terminated. Something is very wrong with this picture, and we are beginning to see why Mr. Utano didn't report the misconduct allegations to his superiors like he was supposed to. So what happened next?
Well, despite Mr. Firth alleging Botler submitted quote-unquote substandard work, then McDonald stating that the Crown wouldn't pay for what Botler was delivering, what followed should confuse anyone reading this email thread if these allegations were true. A series of emails followed, which were very cordial between Botler and Mr. Utano's executive assistant, as they tried to find a suitable date and time to set up a meeting to discuss the next steps of the project. Later that day, Diane sent a rather direct email advising Ritika and Amir that GC Strategies is supposed to pay Botler for the first 2 deliverables that they completed. She also advises them that she cannot discuss the contents of the task authorization that is assigned to Dalian for this project. Folks, Just want to confirm a couple of items that we need to respect in order to follow the contract. 1. GC Strategies has confirmed it will ensure that this does not happen again. Therefore, by way of this email, if Botler does not receive payment upon 30 days of its milestone delivery, please let me and Redacted, manager of the BCU, know. It should not. 2. We are legally not supposed to be discussing any issues of invoice payments, etc. to suppliers who are not listed in the contracts as owners of said contract. There are terms in the contract itself that allow the Government of Canada to follow up with the supplier to ensure fairness to subcontractors, such as this case, but we have no right to discuss this with others. Therefore, let me be clear, we will not be following up on invoice information, etc. for others. Ritika, you are welcome to advise us within 30 days of deliverable if you have not been paid. I will ensure if that is the case, it will be paid. 3. With respect to the TA and work therein, the contract deliverables and time therein can only be negotiated directly with the supplier. We have a commitment to retain confidencies, and the contractor reserves the right to work with their respective agents to achieve said work, separate and distinct from the contract. If there is to be a change to the work, the client will indicate and work internally to adjust with our team as needed. There must always be a legitimate reason for changes to work, and if new work arises out of the initial work, it becomes a new contract requirement. HRB is encouraged to work with Botler to determine if any future additional work aside from what is currently on file is required, and if that is the case, and work with the CBSA Strategic Procurement Directorate to facilitate the new work. I hope that clarifies. Thank you. This is particularly strange since Botler's names are on the task authorization, albeit without their permission, and they were the only ones that could fulfill the contract.
The October meeting never took place, so on November 3rd, 2021, Ritika again tried to reach out to Mr. Utano's executive assistant to try to set something up. This is now just over a month since Botler submitted allegations of misconduct to CBSA. Hi Tony, hope you've been well. We missed you in Ottawa last month. We're beginning to wind down and wrap up for 2021, so I wanted to follow up with you to set up a meeting to go over all the loose ends. Redacted. On our end, our schedule is packed for the remainder of this week and next. Currently flexible with timing for the second half of November and early December, so feel free to schedule something that works for everyone. In the interim, we've made some exciting progress, and Amir will keep Redacted posted accordingly. Cheers. On November 4th, Mr. Utano's executive assistant responds with a series of date and times to which Botler suggests a time towards the end of the month, but the meeting never took place.
On December 1st, 2021, more than 2 months after submitting allegations of misconduct, Amir contacted CBSA for a status update since the project was still on pause. Hi everyone, it's been a few months. I hope you've been well and safe. Wanted to reach out and check in with you regarding any updates on your end, as we haven't heard back from you since this communication. Looking forward to hearing from you, Amir Maravage. There must have been some relief when Amir received a response later that morning indicating that all was well according to the CBSA. Good morning, Amir. Happy to hear from you and great timing. We will be scheduling a meeting in the next few days in order to bring you up to speed in terms of where we are at on this file. I've recently onboarded a new resource, Redacted, who will be helping out on this project, whereby I expect we will be in a position to drive the agenda forward. We are doing our internal introductions with Redacted tomorrow morning, and also for the purpose to bring him up to speed with our intentions and next steps. This will allow us to set up time with you so that we may do the same. You can expect an invite in the coming days. Kind regards, Redacted, Manager, HR Innovation and Modernization.
Based on this, it sounded as if the project was about to resume as a result of the resolved staffing issues, and a meeting was forthcoming. This was later confirmed by both parties to occur on December 15th.
On December 6th, Botler received an urgent email from Dalian regarding timesheet submission. This is sometimes required by organizations with large budget projects in order to ensure that time is being billed fairly, as well as allowing them the ability to track the bill rate to their budget. However, this has never occurred on the Botler pilot project up to this point, so Ritika contacted Diane daily for clarification, as well as advising of other problems. Good morning, Diane. Happy Monday. We received the below email from Caradix this morning. Neither Caradix/Dalian nor GC Strategies briefed us on the requirement to maintain the requested daily documentation at any point. As previously discussed, we are not comfortable moving forward with Curadex and or GC strategies in any capacity. Since their non-payment and other misconduct was brought to the CBSA's attention, they have openly retaliated against Botler, including refusing to send a security clearance request to PSPC for a resource who has been working on this CBSA project. Security cleared resources for the project were promised to us from the outset by Christian Firth, who failed to deliver, causing the company other damages. We still have not had the opportunity to discuss new contracting with the agency, with the meeting now pushed back to December 15th. Please be informed that, respectively, we will not be able to engage in further communication with either Curadex/Dalian or GC Strategies. Our team is also waiting on the HR Innovation and Modernization team to schedule a follow-up meeting. Happy to discuss any requirements that the agency may have at that time. Please also feel free to reach out to me directly at any time regarding any agency needs. Smiley face. Have an amazing weekend ahead. Ritika Dutt, CEO at Botler AI.
Diane's response to Botler is where this story really begins to take a turn. Good afternoon, Ritika. I have reviewed the information below. This appears Coradex's new representative accidentally sent your team a generic email for timesheets, not realizing this work was for firm price deliverables. As I understand from the last invoice, there are several more firm price deliverables due no later than March 31st, 2022. I will remind Coradex to refer back to their original agreement so you will not receive said correspondence again. Not sure what the issue is for security, but does this have to specifically deal with the replacement of personnel security? If so, what is the issue? Please advise. Your email below deals with December 15th, 2021 as the new ETA to discuss deliverables for the contract. I will note this on the file for deliverables purposes, but please be advised the contract end date remains unchanged as of March 31st, 2022 for all deliverables. Thanks. If Botler AI wishes to cease its dealings with Dalian in joint venture with Coradex, you reserve that right. Note this will be your choice as an organization, and we will notify Coradex. Any discussion of further information with Botler AI will then be terminated, as the contract will be cancelled if this is your choice. Please let us know if that is the choice you are making, and I will notify the supplier with whom we hold the contract. Dalian in joint venture with Coradex, this is your choice. As I have stated, contractually we cannot discuss other suppliers' contracts, including with their chosen subcontractors. Thank you, Diane Daly. Diane is outlining that if Botler AI wishes to cease its interactions with Dalian, that would mean the contract is over and the government would cease all communication with them. This sounds particularly strange, as this was not raised in the initial email about misconduct over 2 months prior. Ritika did mention that Dalian was trying to retaliate against them for doing so. Was this part of that retaliation? Was the government working with Dalian to strong-arm Botler into accepting a corrupt process? This was beginning to look like a new criminal offense of extortion. This would have been a shocking response to Ritika and Amir, so the question they would have asked themselves is a simple one. What now?